So where were you before working with us, Blake? Like, had you been, I know you were employed VP of IT, right? How long had you been, were you thinking about it for a while, or had you been actively searching for a while? I can't remember.
Before I hooked up with you guys, passively looking. If you remember, so I joined the company I'm just leaving February 8th of 2020. If you remember, that was the company on the very first day I was hired, like the first day. Yeah, they said,
bunch of people got cut or something.
Hey, no, they just said, hey, by the way, we're going to have a layoff. And I was like, what the hell? What? You never told me that. That was information I need to know. And then we pay decrease in July. So right before I contacted you, I knew the pay decrease was coming. And I was like, I can't do this. So that's when I got serious, was in July. And then it slowed down for me probably about mid-October. I was just like, I had too much stuff. I had to finish a thesis. I can make excuses, but I didn't have any time.
I took those notes too. I remember. So if you're, if you're watching this and you have any excuses in your job search, we have someone who worked full-time, completed a degree, COVID, half of his family had COVID, and you still pushed through it, and
it wasn't pretty. Yeah, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty, but the way I wanted it to be, because I'm usually very get things done type A, but
I wish the road to success looked like this. It never does. It's like, oh, have to go back a little bit, and kind of side.
Yeah, and it got to where I didn't even want to give you guys an update. So I was like, every time I was giving an update, he was getting a lot of red tape, and he's like, I'm sorry, this is really going to happen, I promise. But I never stopped looking for jobs though. So like I said,
at what point did you just say, I need some help. I want to do this right.
I don't know where I think I saw your ad on LinkedIn, not your ad, but I saw a post. Someone that I follow had liked something that I read that Tim had posted. And I thought, you know what, I found this.
Which is also the same way people get jobs.
Yeah.
So that's how you found us. So
yeah, because I didn't search you in Google or anything like that. So, and then I saw, how big of a following you had. And then I went to the website and I was like, okay, this looks legit. And then a guy reached out to me, like a friend, one of your guys. I can't remember who it was.
Yeah, Derek, I think.
Derek then reached out to me, kind of shared with me what was going on and all that kind of stuff. And I asked him about the cost.
What was it though? Was it like
it wasn't working? What I was doing wasn't working.
So it just wasn't working. It wasn't like
no, because you're doing good and you think you're doing good.
Trying to apply for jobs. Rejection,
no one's contacting you back.
Yeah.
Even on quick apply, even when you're applying to a recruiting agency, not really the company, and you're getting no response, no feedback. And the other thing that got frustrating too is the whole, I'm going to go to the website, I'm going to go to their applicant tracking system and spend 45 minutes of my life filling out information that's already on my resume. And I was like, my God, this is.
There's got to be a better way,
there
right?
Has to be a better way.
Yeah.
And honestly, at that point too, I had exhausted my own network. To the extent that I knew. I had exhausted my network, and I was like, my immediate, super close, tight knit friends, they don't know anybody, so I don't know what else to do. I wasn't thinking, what the hell, Blake? You have like a 1,300
vendors and people I was in charge of, and that's actually how you got your job, which is crazy. So fast forward. You got a salary increase, you got a little bit of, a good incentives. Well, either way, financially, you're happy. So that's good.
It's 4 miles from my house.
That's exciting.
Like I jog by this place on the weekends. That's insane. I didn't even know it was there. And I'm like, oh my God. I mean, I've dreamed about that. I live in DFW. It's not fun around here. I mean, I was driving like 28 miles one way, which doesn't sound like a lot maybe, but when you factor in non-COVID traffic, that's about almost 2 hours of your day, which sucks.
Absolutely.
So it's 4 miles from my house. Like
that's amazing.
So Blake,
this program, what part of it did you find the most valuable? Some people say it's the mindset, the interview prep, things like. For you,
the group.
What was the most valuable for you?
I went through all the training videos that I could go, all the training videos up through the meetings that had happened before I was a part of it. I didn't do those, but all those training videos I watched in earnest. I paid attention. They weren't background noise. I listened to everything that was said. Tim has a mindset that's very similar to mine. He's better at it than I am because he does this all the time. But everything he was saying, I was just like, yep, he's right. Yep, he's right. So it was very easy for me to buy in. So I think having the meetings, obviously the coaching meetings, even though we didn't have a ton of them, the ways that I was approaching the elevator pitch, you know, about who you are and why you're good. I think that's the most important thing of almost probably anything I learned, because it's the one chance.
The framework for the whole conversation.
Exactly. And then, you know, learning how that you want to let the other people do the talking. You know what I mean? You don't have to always do the talking. You can put it back on them because people love to talk. So,
and if you're wondering how Blake got his job too, real quick, we'll tell the short version. He knew someone previously, they referred him, and it basically, the rest is history.
Yep. You know? And it wasn't someone I wasn't comfortable. It wasn't someone in my I mean, this is someone from 30 years ago in my past, and apparently painted such a good picture of me, probably even better than I would have presented myself, that by the time the guy contacted me, you know, he wanted to interview me for an hour and a half while he was between jobs for a position that didn't exist. And by the time we were done, basically offered me a job back in July and said, I'm going to make this happen. And I just happened to get hooked up with the right guy that actually kept his word, right? How many times has that not happened? But
well, that's why you got to keep this pipeline big, right? We always say activity. So I do know we were kind of joking before we got on here, and you said you were talking about ROI and said every time you invest or look at something, you're always looking on the return investment because you're a guy from Vegas. What advice would you have someone who is maybe just was in your situation, you know, if they were right here, right then, now, and they're kind of on the edge, like what would you tell them?
So I kind of have to go by the adage of what my dad taught me back in Vegas was you have to spend money to make money. So you are not going to get any investment. You're not going to get any return from anything you do until you make the investment first. So I made the investment, and it was a tough decision. No one wants to put down a big chunk of money on something that's a quote unknown. But the advantage to that is when you do that, now you're invested, you have skin in the game. So now you have every reason as to why it needs to be successful. It makes you not be lazy. But I knew that I needed to invest in myself, which I never do. I buy stuff for other people, even in my own life. I'll get something for her, my wife, whatever. My wife has to go buy me stuff like underwear and socks. I don't do that for myself, right? So if you invest in yourself, if you spend the money, you know, you're a lot more likely to make it happen. And I just think that was, I think that was key for me. I don't know.
Well, hopefully beyond the new job, which is great. Glad you got it. Super happy. I'm really, you know, just what you shared with me, like really, I got chills a little bit because I'm really glad that now you kind of know, like, I did invest in myself to make myself better, which by the way, are the best investments you could make. Right. Hopefully you hone these skills throughout the years now, you know, so you notice it's not only career stuff. It's, you know what, I need to, you know, get better at tech, get better at leadership, get better at, you know, emotional intelligence or whatever. I mean, you know, just to become a better person and a better leader at your next organization.
Right.
Yeah. And one thing that you said prior to us getting on here is that now you have these tools and these techniques that you can use throughout the rest of your career and for the next stage too. And that you have made these connections that are going to benefit your career moving forward. And so I'm just thrilled for you, Blake. I'm really excited that you have, you know, right in your backyard, you know, the next thing. So that's exciting.
Ride a bike. No, I appreciate it. I appreciate it a lot. I mean, I definitely got a ton out of it. I really did. I mean, it was time, you know, I remember some of those nights where I was spending like 3 and 4 hours at 7 o'clock until 11 o'clock, just sitting over at the kitchen table, you know, doing this stuff, reaching out, making these contacts. But I think the thing even what I learned more than anything else is, and I am not shy at all. I never have been, but what I don't like to be is I don't like to come across as salesy. And I got over that. It's like, just get over it. Get over yourself.
Strangers have everything that you want.
Right. When you do that, you make a lot of assumptions about people that are incorrect. And half the time people are actually willing to help you. And
I'm glad you said that because before we get off here, I do want to say, as going through this process of networking with people above your level or at your level, you were kind of raving about all the great relationships you've got in the tech industry now that are going to help you in your future career, are going to be referrals for you later if you need vendors. I mean, you know, you're only as powerful as your network is. And it seems like you got some really quality connections through this process too.
The CIO at Jack Henry and Associates, I don't know if you've ever heard of that company. They're a massive software company for banking. They did not have an opening. I reached out to the CIO there. He said, you know what? He accepted the invite, and he actually replied to me and said he wanted to meet with me. They don't have any job openings. I was like, okay. I was shocked that he wanted to meet with me. So we get on this call and he's like, you know, I just wanted to talk with you because you had the guts to reach out to me. And he goes, you know, I figured if someone had the guts to reach out to me, it was probably worth my time to take some time to talk to him. And so we sat there and talked for like 45 minutes, and it ended up wrapping up where, hey, if you ever see a job at my company that you're interested in, contact me directly and I'll put you in touch with the right person. I have a huge organization. And this is like, this guy had no idea, obviously, who I am.
Yeah.
But actually, I had that happen twice. I'd have to look at my spreadsheet to see the other C-level person that didn't have a job opening, but they were more than willing to talk to me to network, which...
But we talk about this omnipresence thing. Like, so many people live in this world of Amazon where I order something, I get it the next day, right? And in this game, though, what we talked to you about LinkedIn content strategy, which, by the way, you killed that. Yeah. I know that throughout the years of being connected to these senior leaders and you creating content on technology, you know what one's going to say in like down the road? Hey, I remember Blake. I remember that conversation. Hey, I see him doing all these things. Hey, Blake, would you like to come be our new whatever, you know, to head up this program? So awesome. That was
really good advice. Yeah, thanks, guy. I really appreciate it. And, you know, those posts, you'd be surprised how many, even though they're not super fancy or anything, I get people contacting me on direct messages all the time because of the stuff that I'm throwing up there. And it just has to do with leadership or whatever. You'd be surprised how many people, well, you wouldn't be, but I was surprised by how many people actually read those and take the time, even if they don't comment publicly, because a lot of people don't like to publicly comment, but I'll get private messages all the time, or you'll see people from your past that you didn't even know you had an impact come on. And someone did that yesterday, in fact, an old
I've been following you for 6 months. Right?
She came on yesterday and she goes, I love when you make posts, something to the effect about my management and how she thought I was a great manager or something like that. I don't know. But I was just like, wow. I mean, yeah, it was pretty, and that was just the day before yesterday. So that's something I'm going to continue to do though. Like, I'll never stop doing that now. That's just going to be a part of what I do.
Well, that's what we always say on the last call, right? Like, you have your new career, that's great. But remember, this isn't the end of the journey for you, right?
No,
like you're still going to hopefully want to advance in your career. So it's still vital that you do some of the tax acquisition strategies we told you to stay relevant in the market in your industry.
Absolutely. If you guys want me to help with anything or do anything, feel free to always reach out and I'll do whatever I can to, you know, whatever you guys might need help with. I'd be more than happy to.
Awesome. Thanks so much.